Mark couldn't understand why his energetic horse, Thunder, was suddenly exhausted every morning, despite a perfect bill of health. When scattered hay and strange noises kept appearing in the stable each night, he installed a security camera to solve the mystery. The midnight footage revealed something that made Mark's hands tremble. If you'd like to hear more stories like this one, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. The morning sun crept over the horizon as Mark made his way down the familiar dirt path to the stable. His boots crunched against the gravel, each step carrying the weight of growing concern. For 8 years, this walk had been the highlight of his day. But lately, something felt different. Something was wrong with Thunder. Mark remembered the day he first met the majestic horse. Thunder had stood tall and proud in the paddock, his dark coat gleaming in the sunlight. Their connection was instant, as if they'd known each other for years. Since then, they had developed a routine as natural as breathing. Every morning, Thunder would greet him with eager eyes and animated movements, ready for their daily adventures. But over the past few weeks, those bright eyes had dulled. The stable that once echoed with Thunder's energetic whinnies now held an unsettling quiet. The veterinary puzzle had no solution. Mark pushed open the heavy wooden door, his heart sinking at the sight that greeted him. Thunder stood in his stall, head hanging low, dark circles visible under his usually vibrant eyes. The changes had started subtly. At first, Thunder seemed less enthusiastic about their morning rides. Then came the delayed responses to Mark's calls, the sluggish movements, the constant yawning. For a horse that once pranced with the energy of a young colt, Thunder now moved like he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. Mark's first thought was the horse's diet. He adjusted Thunder's feed, adding supplements recommended by other horse owners. He reduced their training schedule, thinking perhaps the exercise had become too strenuous. But nothing changed. Thunder's condition only seemed to worsen, his exhaustion more pronounced with each passing day. The situation became serious enough for Mark to call in the local veterinarian. Dr. Thompson conducted a thorough examination, running every test possible. The results left everyone puzzled. Thunder was in perfect health. No underlying conditions, no physical ailments, nothing that could explain his constant state of exhaustion. Yet every morning, Mark would find signs of nighttime disturbance in the stable, hay scattered in unusual places, water levels lower than expected, subtle changes that suggested Thunder wasn't resting properly. The stable hand gym suggested that something might be keeping the horse awake at night, but what could it be? Mark began spending extra time observing Thunder during the day. He noticed something peculiar. The horse kept turning his head toward the back of the stable, his ears twitching at sounds no one else could hear. Sometimes, Thunder would stand completely still, focusing intently on that same spot, as if waiting for something to emerge from the shadows. The mystery deepened when Mark discovered fresh hay scattered near the back wall of the stable, far from Thunder's stall. At first, he assumed it was the wind, but the pattern seemed too deliberate. The hay always appeared in the same area, arranged almost purposefully. After weeks of unsuccessful attempts to solve the puzzle, Mark decided to take more decisive action. He installed a security camera in the stable, positioning it to capture both Thunder's stall and the mysterious back area that seemed to hold the horse's attention. The security camera's infrared capability would allow him to see clearly even in the darkness of night. The first 3 nights revealed nothing unusual. The footage showed Thunder standing in his typical sleeping position, occasionally shifting his weight from one leg to another, as horses normally do. Mark was beginning to wonder if he'd imagined the whole thing. But then came the 4th night. As Mark reviewed the footage the next morning, his hands began to tremble. The video started normally enough. Thunder in his stall, the stable quiet and still. Then, around midnight, a shadow moved at the edge of the frame. Mark leaned closer to his screen, his heart racing as the figure came into focus, a young deer, its movement hindered by an obviously injured leg, cautiously made its way into the stable. Mark expected Thunder to react with alarm. Horses typically startle at unexpected movements. But Thunder remained perfectly still, his body language showing no signs of fear or agitation. The deer limped toward the back of the stable, exactly where Thunder had been focusing his attention all those days. It moved carefully to a corner where hay had accumulated, the same scattered hay Mark had been finding each morning. Thunder's compassionate secret ***. What happened next left Mark speechless. Thunder shifted his position, deliberately placing himself between the deer and the stable entrance. His ears remained alert, his posture protective rather than threatening. As the night progressed, various sounds disturbed the quiet: the howl of distant coyotes, the rustle of wind through trees, the occasional creak of the stable door. Each time, Thunder maintained his vigilant stance, standing guard over his unlikely guest. The footage revealed a pattern that had been repeating night after night. While the world slept, Thunder had appointed himself protector of this injured creature. The hay Mark found scattered each morning wasn't from restlessness. It was Thunder's deliberate attempt to share his food with the deer, pushing it closer to where the animal rested. This explained everything: the exhaustion, the constant attention to the back of the stable, the scattered hay. Thunder wasn't sick. He was choosing to stay awake, sacrificing his own rest to ensure the safety of another creature in need. Mark watched hours of footage, witnessing this unlikely friendship unfold. The deer, clearly trusting its unusual guardian, would rest peacefully in its corner while Thunder kept watch. Sometimes, Thunder would gently nudge more hay toward the deer, ensuring it had enough to eat while its leg healed. That evening, Mark made some changes to the stable arrangement. He quietly placed an extra pile of hay in the deer's corner and adjusted the stable door to leave a small gap, just enough for the deer to enter and exit comfortably. He wanted to honor Thunder's compassionate choice while ensuring both animals had what they needed. As weeks passed, Mark noticed the deer's limp gradually improving. Thunder maintained his nightly vigil, but his exhaustion began to ease as the deer grew stronger. Then, one morning, Mark arrived to find Thunder finally sleeping peacefully. The deer had moved on, its leg healed, no longer needing the safety of the stable or its dedicated protector. The mystery of Thunder's exhaustion had been solved, but Mark had gained something far more valuable than answers. His horse, whom he'd worried was unwell, had demonstrated extraordinary compassion and selflessness. Thunder had chosen to help another creature in need, regardless of the personal cost. Looking at Thunder that morning, Mark saw him in a new light. The dark circles under his eyes would fade, his energy would return, but the nobility of his actions would remain forever in Mark's heart. His horse had taught him that sometimes what appears to be weakness, exhaustion, distraction, changed behavior, might actually be evidence of tremendous strength and kindness.